I would like to welcome Frank Geßner from INVAO to the show. Welcome, Frank. For anybody who doesn't know, who are you and where are you from?
I'm from Germany. I'm Frank. I'm one of the founders of INVAO, and I'm more than happy to share more about what we're doing here.
Okay, so what is INVAO?
We give investors an easier entry into the crypto space, especially investors that say, well, I really should have part of my personal wealth in crypto, but I have no idea how to get into this. We allow to get into this with fiat and provide a single coin representing kind of a basket, a mix of the most promising coins with to classical portfolio management in this basket. And the core of the INVAO is trading using artificial intelligence. I'm privileged to have could hire or could win kind of the most fascinated artificial intelligence engineers here in INVAO. We built up an engine for kind of high frequency trading on crypto markets. We currently operate on 92 different exchanges, hundreds of trades every single day. And this brings really attractive profits to the digital asset pool we maintain. And the combination of kind of portfolio management, classical fund management with artificial intelligence-based trading is something that's super attractive to investors.
Okay, what was your first experience with crypto?
And I'm invested in crypto for 3 years now. The Bitcoin was below 1,000 at this time. I also run an ICO fund, and I'm also one of the founding partners of a masternode project where we provide masternodes. So kind of I'm in the crypto space already for a while. I love to be on the forefront of new technologies coming up. That's also the history of mine. So I founded my first kind of internet-based company in '92. Potentially, I was the very first in the world to set up a web shop online. I probably built the very first web shop in the world. No one really knows. However, out of this, I built up my first company, which is called Intershop, which got public in Europe in 1997, and then the Nasdaq listing was at 98, operating in 18 countries. Out of this, I started and let scale up a number of other companies. I was also leading tech for Delivery Hero, built up Alura, Alea. Kind of INVAO is now my 10th company, and I love to use technology for building up really great stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're seeing a lot of guys who really are involved in the fintech or just tech in general, startups starting funds. So what gave you the idea to kind of incorporate those things that you learned, in the traditional tech world, let's call it, and combine that with fund management and AI in one package, which is INVAO? What gave you that idea?
So kind of the main motivation was that all of my friends, other entrepreneurs, some of them, also kind of already be privileged to have a certain wealth, say, Frank, you always tell this with crypto, and I hear your stories and I also believe in them, but the entry it's still kind of a miracle for me how to enter this cryptocurrency markets, even how to just to buy a couple of Bitcoins and others might be possible, but I do not want to review the news every day and decide whether I should shorten my Ethereum or my Monero. Is there can this be managed by someone else, right? This was kind of, can you just take care about this, right? I said, well, I can't, since there is a lot of legal implication in managing third-party money. But what I can do is I can build up a pool, and then this is where I come from. I can use technology to to trade with this pool, since I believe that machines can do this much better than human beings. And then kind of we built up this. We started with classic arbitrage trades, and now this became obviously more and more complex and more sophisticated. This led to the INVAO idea, which we're now executing on.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's pretty good, because I, being someone who's gone through the process of trying to set up a crypto fund that takes external money, knows more than anyone how challenging it can be, because the regulations aren't up to scratch, the laws are very hit and miss, and it's very confusing. So what would you say was the most challenging part about starting or just running INVAO?
In the end, it was 10 times more complex and time consuming as I ever have thought before, right?
Okay.
But none of them was really difficult. It was just so much, so many different threads open at the same time. And, then the next lawyer coming around the corner and said, you have also to consider this and this. And then we have to find another kind of agreement with the financial authorities, and everything. For every kind of single item, there was kind of a solution, but this was just so complex, and we really want to provide kind of maximum on security for our investors. We really want them to be invested in something. They have full legal participation rights and everything as they would have on any kind of classical fund, like a real estate fund or whatever, or even kind of equity in something. What we finally found was that in Europe, Liechtenstein is as a country is most advanced in this kind of in terms of regulation. It's not that they somehow close the eyes. No, they really define standards, and if you have standards, you can simply become compliant to these standards, and you know what you have to do. And then Liechtenstein was then the kind of the location where we incorporated the company, and together with the financial authorities of Liechtenstein, we developed the prospectus and all these legal obligations to have everything fully compliant to financial law, which we now have a check mark on. This is now being done. There are some outstanding comments from the financial authorities, but this is all taken care of, and now we go in this classical kind of fundraising.
Would you say Liechtenstein over Malta?
They both do good.
Okay.
And both have our compared to Germany or UK, are quite small economies. So things are also faster. There are less people involved, right? Mm-hmm. And both have the kind of the political willingness to be ahead of this game. So we have extremely positive experience with Liechtenstein so far. If they realize that this is not answered yet, they really took care of doing the measures to get the answer and say, well, what is required and what not. And then, they send us over and we could act on this and, in order to meet their standards or their requirements. So this, this definitely helped. It's kind of for anyone who is looking for a good location, especially if they prefer to have a German-speaking system around this. It also helps, right? This was an argument for us. And then I think Malta and Liechtenstein in Europe are kind of the leading locations to go to.
Okay, fantastic. So when it comes to marketing this fund, what's your strategy that you can tell me, firstly? But because I went to a conference recently, and I asked the audience, which is maybe about 150, maybe 200 people or so, I asked the audience how many of them owned crypto, and these were all COOs from the world's largest hedge funds, and maybe four people put their hands up. So it's a case where not many people are that excited about the space anymore. So what's the difference maker going to be for when you're marketing INVAO?
Yeah, I mean, if you or let me put it way around. If you do not believe at crypto at all, right? If you say, well, this is just kind of a short-term phenomenon, this is just a bubble, I don't believe in this, and so on, right? I mean, we will obviously not even approach them or continue to them. That this is, I think, it's not what we are targeting. What we rather see is that everyone says, well, I really should add some crypto to my personal portfolio, as it is recommended by potentially and most economists, just as a kind of a protection or an hedging against risks in the current financial system. We have seen yesterday night that the global financial market really got a hit, and this risks to continue, and all these kind of the preconditions that led to the 2008 financial crisis. We all know that all of them still exist, and no one really knows when the next big crisis is coming. We do not know neither. I also do not know, is this tomorrow or in 1 year or in 10 years? I don't know. But however, I think as many investment experts advise, is a good admixture of some percentage to crypto is a good protection somehow, right? Since it's expected if the global financial system weakens, that many will invest in crypto to secure some value, however, right? But realistically, if you're not in this market yet, you have whatever 1,500, 2,000 different crypto coins available. No one really knows which one will succeed. They are changing every day. Today Ripple is up, tomorrow Ripple is down, and same as with the others. No one really want to do this job, and for everyone saying, well, I really want to be in crypto with whatever sub percentage of my wealth. I really want someone else to take care of it. I think we can, with our fund management and portfolio management, I think the job we can very well do for them. But since we do not only do kind of a top 100 crypto fund or something, as there are many out there, but we also do this artificial trading. The likelihood that we always outperform the market is very high, since we do not really care whether the market goes up or down. As long as there is movement in the market, we take profits, right? Even if the market goes down, as long as the markets have price differences among exchanges, as long as there is kind of big up and downs, high volatility, we profit.
So would you say that liquidity may be an issue for INVAO, or if, for example, if I don't know, let's say you're connected to Poloniex and the liquidity and the volumes just dip, then is it a case where you're reliant on that liquidity to come in?
Yeah. So what we actually love is long tail. That means kind of smaller exchanges and smaller altcoins. Kind of where we see significant price differences, and this kind of also expected this continues until each of these markets get regulated, which may certainly take a while. And we also love to have many small transactions with low volume instead of just a few large transactions. That's just due to the risk, right? So currently we have 300 to sometimes 1,000 transactions every single day, and most transactions have a volume of $50-$70. So it's kind of low volume transactions, but many of them, and they sum up to really attractive profits. So for us, we see I mean, at the moment there is not much liquidity in the market, right? But small transactions you can always execute if you do it well with an automated system, right? It's impossible to do manually, but with a good engine you can really access this long tail.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Thanks for clearing that up. Yeah. So if I were, let's say, I'm an investor or I'm just somebody interested in investing in crypto funds in general, what questions do you think that I should be asking before I do so?
Yeah. I mean, whether you want to invest in crypto, I think that's a different story. But if you say, well, I really want to do so, the kind of the target you invest to, you should really look at this target. Is this really in financial security, kind of something that is somehow backed with existing assets, right? Or is this just kind of utility token or whatever, right? Kind of, well, do not get anything you can claim for, right? For us, it was super, super important to have a security token from day one, right?
Okay.
Everything compliant with financial law. There is, everything. There's an escrow in between. There are a custodian. So kind of that we provide maximum security for investors who are not crypto experts, who are not kind of want to take risks that are not necessary. So if you want to go in and if you want to invest into a fund, look for a fund that are really backed by securities, and our security token offering, which is now starting, provides this. And there are probably potentially others, right? I don't want to say that we are the only one, definitely not. But you should really look for an investment target that gives you something in return.
Okay. So what I get from that is you've gone down the security token way, and you've taken all the necessary legal measures, and in case the government or BaFin or whoever it may be turns around and says to you, look, we're not saying that utility tokens are illegal, you just can't trade them. At least you're in the clear because you've taken all those necessary legal precautions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also see that kind of to this process, we know obviously a little bit more now about the legal obligations than we have known half a year ago. With this knowledge, I see many also successful ICOs under significant legal risks, also personal risks of the founding teams.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is definitely something we do not want. We also do not want to have this for our investors. So therefore, we published in prospectus. We got legal opinions. We involved the financial authorities. Kind of everything we can do, we did, and to provide maximum security. And the token is not something artificial. It's backed by a net asset value of a digital asset pool, right? Kind of there is a real asset behind it, not kind of a technology or whatever, but something virtual where you never really know what's the value, right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I think it's whether the regulators also can inform investors on the value of utility tokens, and they're just not there yet. So I guess it's good to also prepare yourself for that as well. So what challenges do you see potentially popping up in the future, and how do you expect INVAO to beat those challenges?
Yeah. As usual, challenges always come with opportunities,
sure.
Right? So, for example, we currently take advantage of that. Literally, no exchange is really regulated.
Mm-hmm.
This means that you have definitely significant price differences, between the exchanges. This is where our system says, well, that's just perfect for trading. The more the markets get regulated and the more players come into the market, also the institutional traders, the less we see the arbitrage opportunities become, right? But then once the markets are regulated, you can trust the order books. Today, you cannot really trust the order books. You cannot let artificial intelligence-based software systems learn from order books. They will just provide wrong predictions, since the order books are somehow or very often manipulated or faked. But once the exchanges become regulated, we can do predictive trading, right? We can learn from the past and predict the future, and then have long or short trades on these predictions. So this brings us an enormous potential for a completely new type of crypto trading, not accessible today, and so it goes on, right?
Sure.
What will be obviously difficult for the STO is the market continues to go down or continues to weaken the crypto market at all, right? This provides, not the best feelings and mood, but also is the best entry point, right? If the market goes down, this is the time where you should invest, right?
Sure.
Not where the market goes up, right? Kind of as soon as our token has the price of today, it's better to invest now than if the token has a multiple of 5 or 10, right? So it's this trade-off of challenge and opportunity.
No, you're 100% right. I think I wouldn't choose another route. I can't agree with you more. So if you were to go back to, when did you said you started in crypto around 2015?
Yeah, around.
And when did you start INVAO?
INVAO was started kind of officially incorporated just a couple of months ago.
Okay.
The project itself started around a year ago. We are also trading for about 10 months.
Okay.
Always between, I think the worst month was 8% profit per month. The best one was 13% profit per month. So it is really significant profit we generate, and that's what we are now scaling up.
So if you were to go back to the year ago when you first started with just the idea, and knowing what you know today, what would you do differently?
Well, I mean, a year ago or 2 years ago, it was much, much easier to raise funds through an ICO than it is today, right? Kind of, if we would have known this, we would probably have started much earlier in announcing the ICO. We wanted to have it as secure and as reliable as possible, which has also advantages. And if it's a good product, it will also be, people want to have it, right? It will also be successful. If it's good, it will be successful, right?
Sure.
And it is, right? For example, now the market is down. If the market goes up now, it will be the perfect timing for our STO, right? So you never know.
Of course. That's a similar answer to I get from lots of people about fundraising at the moment. And I think that's a pretty good thing because, and I'll tell you why I believe it's a good thing. I've been in crypto since 2013, nothing to be proud of, but I did do a lot of talking to people in 2014, and a lot of the businesses and companies that were running then just went bust from lack of money, lack of funding. And yeah, it's starting to become that time. And if we notice, 2014 and 2015 were one of the best times to really be involved in the space, because it was, a time for building great things like Ethereum, and just other great projects that we now use today. So I think being a bad time to raise funds is a good thing, but let's see how many innovative projects can really survive that. So that's
obviously the community changing in the crypto universe, right?
Sure.
Kind of 2 years ago, you either had kind of tech enthusiasts, right? Kind of not really understanding anything about business, or you had the way around. You had some guys coming from the financial world, but just speculating on the market. And for example, the level of compliance we can provide today were impossible a year ago or 2 years ago, right? So it's also good in the end, right? And the more it is compliant, the more it will be accepted.
Sure. Okay. All right. Thank you. So I've now got to the stage of the podcast where I ask my questions, and these are three questions I'm going to be asking everyone that comes onto the podcast. So, the first one is, if you could name three projects that you think will still exist in 25 years, who are they and why?
I strongly believe in Bitcoin, literally, really. Also, it doesn't sound that. I think it provides stability, right? As we see in, for example, gold or other things, right? Bitcoin is definitely something I believe in also long term. Um, I obviously believe in INVAO. This is a long term fund. It's not something you want to get rid of or want to sell in the short term. This is kind of an evergreen business, and I believe in all projects providing anonymous payment, like Monero or Zcash or others.
Okay.
There will also be. Since this is something no central bank or country can ever provide, this level of anonymity. And therefore, I strongly believe that such systems, everything that solves problems better than anything else will survive, right? And therefore, I think these kind of anonymous payment systems like Zcash, Monero, and so on, they will definitely have a long term.
Okay. That's good answers. I think yes. I think that was Bitcoin, INVAO, obviously, and let's just say Monero. So yeah, that's we'll see. I'll go back into the archive and
Call
find out
me
in
in
25
25
years.
years, and then we can see whether
Yeah, we'll
was
see. We'll
right.
see. Hopefully they all exist because I like all of them. So I hope so. But the next question is, what's the best thing you've purchased with crypto and why?
Well, actually, that is probably not really good. I bought a kind of a super expensive bicycle when I paid this with Bitcoin at a time where Bitcoin was probably 2000 something. So it was already very expensive at this time. But if I take the Bitcoin price today, it's kind of doubled or tripled in price. So this was probably, but at this time it was good. Kind of it was okay. It was fine.
That's nice.
Um,
That's
yeah.
nice. I've never known anybody to buy a bike, so it's a great answer.
Yeah, it was kind of the retailer had difficulties to take money at all, since he was kind of in an insolvency situation, and so we said, just then I
All right, the last question from me is Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Facebook. Okay, that's a good answer. So the final question I have now for you is from the community, and they asked, "What are the good causes that are INVAO looking at or investing into?"
So the first is we have kind of um, it's really a tokenized pool, right, based on security token, full investor rights, secured by smart contracts. It's compliant, and it will always outperform the market, kind of the top whatever cryptocurrencies indexes, by automated trading and portfolio management. So it's the most, at least as what I know, the combination of security and performance, kind of capital gain. I do not know a single project where this combination is both met so well. We are
Okay.
still in the pre-ICO round. So that means kind of we are still in this 30% discount phase, which is kind of 60% or so taken. So kind of everyone who wants to say, well, I want to rather be in earlier, could enjoy a higher discount, just get in contact with us.
Okay.
Uh,
Where's the best
Best way
place to
either
find
to
you?
drop me a message, kind of if you add my email address, is frank.geßner, Gessner, at invao.org, or you go to our website and then write a general message. Someone will call you and then define the next steps. Right?
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you, Frank. So we're out of time now, but thank you again. Thank you for your time on the blockchain. Thank you for everybody who's listening in Nextblock Community. Hopefully, Frank, we can speak soon, maybe next year, and find out how INVAO is going. And yeah, and hopefully we can meet soon.
Thank you very much, Connor. Very good. It
Thank
was a
you.
lot of
Take care.
fun.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.